Alright guys, and welcome back to the channel. This week's video, if you haven't seen the ones before, is going to be me spray painting my wheels. This is all going to be crammed into one video. But yes, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Like, as you have been doing already, you've been smashing it, and I appreciate that, guys. So we're going to get straight into the video, and yeah, let's go. Alright, so I actually completely forgot to film that, but I've just moved all the wheels out there, got the jet wash out, got the snow foam, got the scrubbing brush, and we have cleaned right up. Just to get all the main bits of grit off before I start sanding, which I'm going to do a little bit of today, see how long it takes, but I might spread it over a few days because I've got all week to do it, and make sure they're good and proper sanded up before I start painting. Obviously I want to leave them for a few days as well, before I stick them on the car, ideally. So just give them a right clean up. Some came up pretty nice on the inside, whereas others, I think it's this one, did not. One at a time I'm going to bring them into the messiness. I'm going to put up here just for sanding. I know that stuff's going to get everywhere, but it's going to be at my height and it's not going to be as painstaking as it might be, but on my knees bending over outside. So obviously I've cleaned the wheel first of all. I'm going to dry it up now, and then I'm going to sand it with dry sandpaper. I've got wet and dry sandpaper for the whole process, but I'm going to sand it with dry 240 to 400. I'm going to go for 400 on the whole thing because I've got more on that sandpaper currently while I wait for the 240 to turn up, if it ever does. So I'm going to start with 400 over the whole thing just to rough it up. If there's any tougher parts, like I've got a big sort of chip here, I might have to attack that with the 240 first of all, and then move back up to 400 just to make sure that it is a little bit smoother. Probably work my way up to about 600 grit wet, just to make sure that it all goes hopefully nice and smooth, and then is ready for the brake cleaner, which I bought in a spray can here. But you're spraying the whole thing over with a brake cleaner. This is to get rid of any like grease and stuff that's going to affect the paint, and obviously I'll dry that all up, and then it's ready for the primer. If you didn't watch my last video, the primer I got is some etch primer. Apparently this is quite good for sort of obviously filling all the gaps like primer's supposed to do. Yeah, so I'll prime it 2000 grit wet, just to rough it all up, and well, I say rough it all up, make it smooth, obviously give the next paint something to stick to. Then I'm going to put my coats of colour on. I don't know how many coats of colour I'm going to do. I would like to say 3 to 4, but it depends on how well it goes on. Like I said, it's the first time of me spraying a big surface area like a wheel, but we'll see how well it goes. No more than 4 coats. And then I'm going to 2K wet sand again, and then we'll go for the lacquer. 2 light coats and maybe a thick one, or 2 thick ones again, depending on how they look when they go on. But that is the process. But obviously the longest and most tedious part is sanding it and getting it smooth, which is the part I'm not very good at even on small plastic parts. So I need to take my time, get cracking pretty much. So leave down in the comments if you have any different ways. So obviously people reading this and watching this video might want to know sort of different methods. They might just not want to follow mine. This might not go very well, so please watch until the end and see the end result. Wish me luck. Bit of pressure. Like I said, it's not going to cost me an overly amount of money if I mess it up, because I'll just take it to someone to sandblast to do it properly for me. But yes, we'll see. Remember, that is the sort of colour we're looking at. So there's how well you can see it in here. So I've watched many tutorials of how to do a wheel. Best one I've seen, and it seems to make most sense, is to start in all the awkward parts first of all, so down all where the nuts go. Around all the spokes. Luckily these wheels have got loads of spokes, so it's going to take a bit of time, but to all the awkward bits first, and then start with the easy face. So just wanted to say, first of all, obviously if you're looking at this video, you're probably interested on doing the wheels yourself, or you're just intrigued to see how mine come out. Making sure the alloy is nice and smooth all the way over. So obviously, at the moment I've just got like the dusty haze, the bits where needed a bit more attention. I've obviously gone in a bit more, and it's started to go black. These are where all the chips were around the edges, and that one there's quite a big chip off the edge, but I could sand it back. But obviously it was only a tiny bit, but I've sanded quite a way each side, so make sure you do that if you've got big bits. Same way here is just to make sure it's nice and smooth. So I'm going to go 600 wet over everything now, wet the wheel up, and after that I'm going to give it a brake cleaner and dry the wheel up. Oh. Alright, so for those that can count, there's 3, there's 1, we got 4 wheels done. That's a little rhyme. Dried overnight. It's a bit dusty, so we're going to give it a jet wash and get all that off, and then I'm going to check over again for sort of any lumps and bumps, and I'm going to use that brake cleaner just to go over it and clean it up. Obviously the lettering, I was struggling to get in there and scratch that up. So I asked a few people, some people said toothbrush, some people said if you got any wire wool or anything like that, and I did. For obviously cleaning my exhaust tips, so I've used a bit of wire wool to get in there and pretty much just try and scratch that up, because that was where the paint failed last time. As you can see, it's black, not grey. Oh, we did it. Oh, I did up. Said about taking the weights off, so I've taken all the weights off, and you can see the original, or one of the colours of the wheel. It was black at one point, so I've taken all them weights off and made sure I've given it all a good clean up. Another thing I've done with the spacers, I thought I'd freshen them up a little bit. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like afterwards. I'll just use some proper coarse, I think it's 80 grit, to get all that off there, because that's obviously the face that just touches the car, face that touches the wheel, just to clean them up. And then around the outside I've just done a 400 grit, and I will be spraying that anthracite as well if I have enough paint left over, just so it blends in rather than looking through the wheel and the whole wheel being anthracite and that bit being silver. But that's it so far, so we're just going to take them outside, jet wash them, check them over again, and I'll come back to you and do a little time lapse on the brake cleaner, and we'll be ready for some primer. I'm a little bit concerned. This is the best idea I can come up with, sort of, for a spray painting session. I was going to do it in the garden, but then I'd probably make a mess, and also there's loads of bugs that keep flying down everywhere at the moment, so this is the best idea I've got. We just need to do the back side of this one, and then we're going to kind of do the one coat on the inside, I think, because we are running slightly low on just the one can, mainly because I messed up the face on that one. It started bubbling funny, so I don't think I cleaned it enough with the brake parts cleaner, so I did use a bit of my time to sand that down again, start again, make sure I use loads of brake cleaner, and it seems pretty good this time on the face, so that's fine. We've caught up, so make sure you don't lack in cleaning products, because it got contaminated and it started sort of bubbling. I should have shown it, but the camera was dead. So last one to do, pop all the cards out. We'll actually check to make sure this one isn't doing it, and if it is I can show you, but all the other wheels seem to be okay. It was making like a, you know when you go in a swimming pool for too long and on your hands it goes all wrinkly, that's kind of what I was doing on the wheel. But that is 2 coats done, but we're looking good on the production line. I've just had to shut the main door down as well, so we got a little bit less air ventilation in here now, but I'm stood right next to the door for the last one, so I'm calling it a day. I did want to give this one more because it still looked a bit patchy. It sort of had one on top of the one that I sort of sanded down, so I thought just to be safe I'd give it another one. But we're looking all good, but this card technique is rubbish. I think I'd just do that front and back if I was you. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow because I can't be asked to put all the cards in again, because every time I turn the wheel over all the cards fall out. I just can't be dealing with it. So I think I'm going to get rid of all the cards and just tape it up like that. It doesn't take too long, especially on this wheel here. I seem to be able to tuck it in quite a way, so I get a good sort of that much in every time going around, and I don't have to worry about it till the very end. So I think I'm going to do that on here, but till tomorrow we are finished priming. Another day. This is now Wednesday. The weather is taken a turn for the worse, so it's not very nice. Got the LED out again just to check them over, and they all seem good. This one paint in the bum wheel did it again a little bit. It was sort of starting to do it on the inside here and here. Even though I thought I'd done it all right, so I did sand it back again and give it a couple of coats just before I went to bed at about midnight last night. Just need to do some wet sanding. I've got 2,000 grit somewhere. Bought quite a lot of these, so I've got plenty to spare, but just going to wet sand over the whole surface, make sure it's smooth. This sort of etch primer leaves quite a rough finish in certain places, so we just need to make sure it's all smooth and ready to go for the paint, which is today. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be doing the cards. I'm going to mask the front like I've masked the back. So sort of the wet sand in there a little bit dirty, so I'm taking them outside one by one and making them wet. I'm going to wait for them to dry, and then we're going to mask up the rest of them all nice and tight, and then I'll get a nice clean microfiber cloth and we'll wipe them all down, and then we'll be ready to paint. Coat. The first coat I'm going to be put on was what everybody says in every single video you watch. It's just like a light coat, so you're trying to get in all the awkward corners and stuff like that. Just a light coat, just to get it attached, and then you can put more and more on. You don't want drips. Obviously drips through the primer are okay, because as soon as you go hard you sand it back anyway, but drips on the main paint can obviously mess up pretty much everything, so it's all about nice light coats. Also, the can here isn't very warm. It's not a very hot day today. Obviously it's a bit cloudy, a bit wet, and so the can sort of feels quite cold, so I'm going to be using a hairdryer on it in a minute just to warm up the paint, because everybody says it sprays a lot better when it's warmer. Go for it then, you can only go wrong. So coat 1 is dry on all of them. Ooh, looking pretty good. The inside is so difficult to do, the inside of the wheel on the back. So they all look a little bit patchy actually, which I'll show you in a second. But hopefully the second coat is going to cancel that out. But I find it really hard to get a nice smooth technique on that one flat surface, but I'll show you in a second. But they're looking pretty good on the front, which is the main face. Right, I've all of a sudden got this funny feeling that I didn't film inside the barrel. As you look down and in, I've been going over the back of the spokes just with one, trying to get these corners, because those edges there are quite difficult to get from the top. So I've been trying to go each side. I'm spraying a little bit around there. I probably should have masked this up. I'm going to wait until the end and I'm going to give that a bit of a sand, because that's obviously got a little bit of paint on it now. Then I stand at one side and do that half, like that, slowly but surely to the top, and then do one around the top, and then I walk around the other side and then do it as you go up. The first one looks super patchy when you do it, but by the second one it's smoothing itself out a little bit. Couple of times now, I don't know what it is, can't remember which wheel it is now. That one there, just on the top. Don't know if you can see it in the light. It's starting to bubble over a bit funny. This is about that's the second sort of light coat, or third. I think it's third light coat actually now. And yeah, just in a couple of places. So maybe, I don't know, it's getting contaminated somehow, but I'm going to try and wipe it over it again with a cloth, but obviously can't use brake cleaner because it messes up the paint. I've had a drip come off the end of the can as well and splat on, which yeah, is probably a rookie error, so I walk around now with a tissue. After doing it for a little bit, I wipe the end, because yeah, a couple of times I've had a drip and it's bugged me. For example, there's been a drip, but luckily it missed, so watch out for that if you're doing a similar job. We're now at that stage where we're sort of going to be looking towards lacquering it. There's a few bits sort of down inside on a couple of areas, on a couple of the spokes that aren't the best, but I'm going to be putting on about 700 coats if I carry on the way I am. So I'm going to get the 2000 grit sandpaper again, nice fresh bucket of water, and we're going to go over all the wheels, lightly sanding, and yeah, just prepping for the lacquer. Final hurdle, but I'm very pleased. I think I've done a decent job, especially for my first time. It's just a Halfords clear lacquer. And this is the point where we don't want to mess anything up, so it's going to be 2 light coats first of all of the lacquer to sort of let it bond, let it settle, and then we'll do a couple slightly thicker coats, and then I think I'll be leaving it there. I don't want to go too crazy, but that should be enough. Alright guys, so I'm finally finished on the production line, so I can't actually wait just to tidy up my garage because it looks like an absolute mess because I've been moving stuff and been making sure I can get around the back and spray and stuff like that. But yeah, super happy with it now. Obviously the next thing to do is to peel all the masking tape off, and hope and pray I tuck that in enough and all the tyres are looking nice and clean still, and that I've got a good sort of bit of paint around the edge of the rim as well. But we're just going to pop one outside quickly into the natural light just so you can have a look. A few are better than others. There's a few sort of bits that sort of catch my eye, and others sort of down in the bottom of here, for example. Not on that wheel specifically, but on one somewhere there is. But at the end of the day, it was never going to be a perfect job, and don't expect yourself to get the perfect job either if you're doing it for the first time. Yes, you can strive for perfection. Like I said a few times, I did have a few issues with the paint, but I just sanded it back and did it again until I was happy with it. I'm not overly fussed, and in all honesty, I'm really happy. Depending on how long it stays looking nice and clean and fresh for is another question. I've just messaged the garage today and asked them when they can get me in next week just for weighing the wheels again. Obviously on these I've only got sort of, I think they're only proxies at the moment, which is not the greatest tyre in the world, but they still got a lot of tread left on them, so I'm going to be using that, and then I can get some better tyres. I think I want to go Michelin PS3s, I think. It's what everybody seems to think is a good fast road tyre, and it's good in the wet as well. So that's what I'm thinking of anyway, but obviously you guys feel free to comment down below what tyre you think is good, and then we'll have a look for any imperfections, because I want to be honest about it really, because a lot of videos that I watch, they do the wheel, they put on and go, oh wow, amazing and stuff like this, and they might have done a perfect job, but for me, obviously it was my first time. I tried my best, I tried to do every stage as I could, but there are some bits that are not the best, so we're just going to drag this wheel outside now, and then we'll peel the tape off. So far so good. I was a little bit concerned that it was going to leave some of the masking tape behind, but it all seems to be a little bit of paint there and a little bit of paint there, but other than that, cool. So I found the whole process took a fair amount of time, obviously going in and out from the garage a few times. The garage probably wasn't the best place to be spraying either. I maybe should have done some dust removal at the time, because every time I came back in I felt like I was wiping dust off every single time, because it isn't the most ventilated place in the world, even with the big double door open for most of the time. I'll admit I didn't have it open all the time, but it was open most of the time. But the weather took a turn for the worse, so I had to stay inside. Dusty all over. But a lot of people have used sort of like a compound afterwards as well to really make the paint pop, and then I'm going to use some of my ceramic wax all over it as well for each and every wheel. But like I said, that'll be next video. I'll be using ceramic wax, I'll be getting tyres weighted and getting the wheels weighted, and then I'll be putting the wheels on the car in the next one. But
member of the Information Society. That's a difficult question because I didn't know we were in the Information Society.
If you guys are interested in the time frame as well, I started this sort of last Sunday when I sort of had the basic sandpaper, then the rest of the sandpaper arrived, and now I've sort of left the wheel for a day now. I'm going to leave it for a couple more days over the weekend, and then we'll get working on it and start next week, because I've got a house in here this week. Because I've got a house in here this weekend, so We're leaving it a good amount of time for the paint to cure, for the paint to dry, but yeah, it has taken me about a week in total. So that is it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been interesting for you guys, maybe in good or bad ways, but I've learned a lot, and hopefully you guys have learned a little bit from watching my video as well. I'm proper happy with how they came out at the moment. We'll see how they last and how they get on when they're on the car, but a lot better than silver. I just feel like, wow, I wouldn't mind a bright silver, but the kind of colour they were was like a weird silver, a weird grey. So this is obviously a massive improvement in my eyes, but hopefully you guys feel like I've done a reasonable job, and we'll see what they look like when they get on the car in the next video, where I'm taking the masking tape off the rest of the wheels, cleaning them all up, giving the tyres some tyre shine, giving the alloy some compound, and then some ceramic wax to give it that little bit of protection, and then yeah, getting them weighed and getting them on the car. So look forward to that one, guys, as I am as well, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.